Hello everybody, how's it going? So welcome to another One Piece review. This time I'll be covering Manga chapter 1092. Oda labels this the incident of the tyrant Kuma going on the rampage. I like to call this the trolling the ever-loving shit from the Admirals. We'll get to that. So this was a very simplistic chapter, and we got a very simplistic cover page with Jinbei with underwater with giant remoras being attached in on Jinbei. I also find it interesting that some of the Straw Hats were absent. Obviously, Rock, Lucci, and Zoro, we didn't get to see that. Also, once again, Robin was also absent in this chapter, and I also think that was done by design for a reason. Kuma, and find out what he's doing on Mera Jose, and finally he's got up to the top of the red wall, and you see guards trying to restrain Kuma. It doesn't work, and then he uses Urusha Shock to blow everything away. All you see is Fleet Admiral Sakazuki Akainu woke up. Oh, this is where, okay, I got my head scratching from this because, yeah, it's like Akainu versus Kuma, great. But not only did Kuma get away from Akainu, but also he was being talked down to by Celestial Dragons, the Tenryubito, but he can't do shit because Akainu's like, we can't control you, you're way too dangerous to be let off the leash. So he uses Hellhound and gives him the Whitebeard treatment, like blows half his head into Kingdom Come. Now, this is interesting because you would think Akainu would go for the kill, but so either Kuma actually managed to avoid maximum damage and got half his head demolished because Akainu's like, oh, you still got some blood flowing. And then after that, Kuma was able to get away. Literally, he's able to avoid Akainu. Kuma teleports away, and that's the last we see of Kuma. So I don't like I said, I don't know if the Admirals are trolling here or if Oda is like telling us something about the Admirals, like what's going on here. So Kuma teleports away. I'm pretty sure he's teleported inside Pangaea Castle. Now the question I have is why, because we do see Akainu and he looks pissed because number one he let Kuma get away, or Kuma got away from Akainu. It's one of the two. But either way, we got somewhat of a panel of a flashback involving Bonnie. She was locked up with Akainu and it's like, you can howl all you want, but Kuma's mind will never come back. He volunteered to become a combat weapon. Now this is obviously before the time skip, because we know post time skip, Barney gets away and escapes, and we saw her as a kid, so we know she escapes. But this is kind of cool, and yet again we don't hear anything about the crew. So, and Barney, much like in the present, gets pissed off about Kuma. It's like, no way, he wouldn't volunteer. But again, this is more mystery that we don't know about Kuma, and the longer Oda keeps this up, the more this entails Barney to join up with Luffy post Egghead Island, because we really need an explanation as to what's going on and why it's so important that Kuma is headed back to Mera Jose and left the Revolutionary Army for that. Obviously it has something to do with rescuing Barney, but we don't know why and how, because I have a feeling it's going to tie into what happened with Sabi Archipelago. But that was my initial feeling from the moment Kuma left Commonwealth Kingdom. So Akainu looks confident, even though Kuma did get away. So it's like, you're just a puppet who's lost everything. So where are you going? So what is the deal with Akainu? I mean, this is the same Akainu that stopped at nothing to try and kill Luffy. So I don't think Akainu is just like going to get Kuma off the leash unless he knows where he's going. We go back to Egghead Island where we see the Marines on land now, but we do get right into the action involving Kizaru, and when it comes to and Luffy, and Kizaru's giving Luffy compliments obviously because he defeated Kaido, and obviously he's feeling firsthand how tough Luffy is compared to pre-time skip. So obviously he's formidable, but it's like, why are you protecting Vegapunk, and what's the reasoning? And Luffy's like, yeah, I want to know where you're trying to kill him. Again, this is where we get more of Kizaru and his character, because it's like, I don't want to kill him, but I've known him for a long time. So it's obvious there's going to be some type of conflict within Kizaru by the end of this, because it's like, okay, I don't really want to kill him, but I've got my orders. So it's like, he said the same thing to Sentomaru, Obviously, we know how that ended up, but this is leading to something involving Kizaru from a character standpoint, so whether that is, we'll find out soon. Kizaru did manage to kick Luffy away and send him straight through the giant mecha that was carrying the Sunny, so that's blown into Kingdom Come now. And it looked like Luffy exploded, got caught in the explosion too, because Frankie's freaking out. Barney also gets sent flying. I do like Barney standing on the ground here, so Barney actually tries to use part of the wire that was connected to the giant mecha that got destroyed to try and attack Kizaru. So shout out to Barney, even though it didn't work. But I like how Barney's been handled in this arc, so that's actually really cool. She gets kicked away. I'm pretty sure she's going to return because obviously she's going to be a mainstay in this arc, especially going forward. Because we need to find out what's going on with Kuma and why Barney was so distraught in the first place. So, but Frankie realizes what Kizaru's gone and where he's at, and this is something I actually mentioned. Like, I thought Kizaru's gonna end up inside the lab, and turns out Oda went the long route and decided to have Kizaru be confronted by Luffy, only for Kizaru to end up inside anyway. So we just went the long route from Oda to make it less predictable, even though it was kind of obvious what was going to happen. It looked like Vegapunk and Atlas cut the code, and York is getting pissed, but all of a sudden in comes Kizaru out, because this is obviously PTSD for some of the Straw Hats, and obviously Vegapunk is right there in Kizaru's face. So, and this is where the second part where this chapter had me scratching my head when it comes to the Admirals. So all of a sudden you see Kizaru looking confident, like, oh, I'm about to kill you, but nothing personal, it's my orders. But then all of a sudden you see Kizaru and the panel of him sweating. Then you see Luffy in Gear 5 grab a hold of Kizaru. You see Kizaru, what looks to be him smiling, even though he's being grabbed by Gear 5 Luffy. And then the chapter ends with Luffy grabbing hold of Kizaru, and you see the giant mecha coming back to life, despite the fact that he was half dead. Which we kind of figured that was going to be the case anyway, just because why would Oda introduce that? And also introduce the fact that it stormed Merijose, much like Kuma did in this chapter, if it's not going to lead to anything. So, yeah, that was obvious. So, what it does now, I don't know. Whether it has any impact on the fight, I don't know. So, the whole lot with Kizaru, and then Luffy and Gear 5 grabbing hold of it. Now, it's obvious Luffy is not a full. Like I said before, and I've said this multiple times, Oda has made it a point to nerf Luffy ahead of this confrontation with Kizaru. Because if Luffy were to fall, and I know people are gonna not gonna like this because the fanboys of Admirals, but it looks like Luffy is way above Admiral level if he's not nerfed. I don't know what else. Like I said, I don't know what other thought you can have after chapters like the previous two. So, and remember, Luffy in base managed to kick Kizaru, which was the ending of this chapter. Sums up to one of three things. Either number one, Kizaru's trolling and let himself be caught by Luffy, which doesn't make sense because he's there to literally take out Vegapunk, unless there's something else to that. So that's option number one. Option number two is either with observation haki, if he has it, wasn't able to outmaneuver a nerfed Gear 5th Luffy. So that's option number two. And the third and final option, which is insane, but either Kizaru is actually detecting Luffy or he's detecting something else. So, because we see a panel of him sweating and then he's got caught, then he gets caught by Luffy. So it's either he notices something else or with observation haki, he can't outmaneuver a maxed out Gear 5th Luffy. So it's one of those three things, and like I said, it doesn't make the Admirals look good at all, especially when you consider Fleet Admiral Sakazuki Akainu. Literally, now props to Kuma because he's an endurance beast because he took Hellhound to the skull, much like Whitebeard did, and he survived and managed to get away. Where he ends up, I don't know. Akainu ends up on his ass. We'll have to wait and see. But as of right now, this chapter did not do Akainu any favors, because you would think, and there's a lot of people that thought Fleet Admiral Akainu has future sight observation haki. If he did, he would have prevented Kuma from getting away. That's want. And the same thing with Kizaru. If he had future sight, much like Luffy, he would have been able to outmaneuver Luffy, Gear 5th or not. So, and the fact that he couldn't, or so either he couldn't, or he let himself do that, or he let himself be caught on purpose, which again makes no sense because he's got his orders to assassinate Vegapunk. So why would he let himself be captured? I said it doesn't do the Admirals any favors. Then again, Aokiji's fight with Garp did him no favors either. So is this the beginning of the downfall of the original trio, of the original 3 Admiral trio, involving Akainu, Aokiji, and Kizaru? Or is there something else to this? Or are the likes of Kizaru and Akainu so cocky that it doesn't really matter? But either way, the fact that Akainu got talked down to by a bunch of tenure beaters, like, yo, you call yourself a fleet admiral and you let this guy get away, like that, again, that does them no favors. I'm sorry, people can like say, oh, they were holding back. That's the same Akainu, like I said, went on a warpath pre-time skip trying to kill anybody in his wake, especially Luffy. So you can't keep making excuses for the Admirals. Like, the Reverie did the Admirals no favors, especially Green Bull. He was talked down to. He fought with Fujitora, who literally had a dispute among themselves because Fujitora let some slaves that were being held by the Revolutionary Army get away. Now you have this. So either the Admirals are trolling, Oda is trying to tell us something about the Admirals, and maybe they're not all that. They can't be this careless, especially somebody like Kizaru. So I don't know what the hell's going on, unless Gear 5th Luffy is just a complete tank. Even nerfed is too much for even Kizaru. So we'll have to wait and see. Like I said, very simplistic chapter. Got me scratching my head because I expect Kizaru to get away, but even so, it's like stuff like this does them no favors, in my opinion. There's also another factor to take in consideration here, and that's the fact we saw a vessel clearly with Blackbeard's Jolly Roger circling the scene when it comes to Egghead Island. So we don't know what they're here for, nor do we know who's actually on there. We could assume that Pudding, Katarina Devon, and Lafitte are on there, but we don't really know for sure. But let me know what you guys think down below. Like I said, very simplistic chapter. I enjoyed it, but very simplistic after 2 weeks of waiting. We'll have to wait and see how this goes. That's going to do it for you guys. Thanks so much for watching. Like the review if you did, thumbs up. I appreciate that. Subscribe, chat for more One Piece. Catch you guys later. Thanks, guys. Bye.